We join back in with our adventurers after last week. They had finished dealing with the dealing with the events down in the crevasse with the corrupted golem, getting some healing and returning to the city. They enjoyed some rest before heading on their different ways. I believe Dante was brooding, let's say, and unfortunately not wanting to leave. Yeah, sulking and not wanting to leave them alone. Ichi and Volu were not far behind. Aileni went off to purchase some things. Was it
the temple?
Went to the temple.
The temple.
I went to
yes,
the temple. Yeah.
So you went to the temple to inform High Priest Arcanair of what had happened down in the crevasse, but also some events that have been happening further up. They learned that more people within the city were becoming infected, and the temple, at the very least, is worried at the moment that this thing is spreading.
And we learned about the catacombs.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a whole thing underneath the city where people live.
There is, and
yeah.
they're quite worried that the infection is spreading down there. Volu and Ichi and Dante went back to the Rusty Bucket and were enjoying a lovelily thrown party by Dana and Alara. Banners and people joining, and during that, Dante saw something interesting and decided to keep watch. While the others enjoyed themselves and continued Volu met an old acquaintance, not really a friend. It wasn't like you hung out before. They just served Tanabori, so they came and went, and you occasionally interacted. But Kanda, a satyr from the Feywild in Furbolg disguise, came over to Volu, and they have decided to meet up later. As Aileni entered, Dante knocked a chandelier, causing a large ruckus to the aid of Aileni that was trying to avoid the swarming mobs. And we pick up now as there's still quite a lot of chaos in the bar. People are still, quite rambunctious. The party is basically joining back up to full. But we join as Aileni invisibly walked past Dante and spoke. No, as in disguise, walked past Dante but spoke to him in her own voice. And Dante informed her that someone was looking for her.
Yeah, I was in human form and heading up to the rooms to try and hide. So yeah, I would sort of stop and look and say, when?
On the people who had the accidents.
Sorry, the people who had the accident with
The ruckus. I made sure that they were distracted when you came in.
Ah, thank you. I didn't realise that was you. Did they say why? Or what they wanted?
I do not know. They just said, well, they didn't say anything. I just saw them. When the party was going, they kept looking at us. When we entered, they seemed interested, but still looking. As you entered, they focused on you. I do not know why. I do not know for what purpose. But as you came in, when you tried to scurry away, I did that. Distraction happened. You disappeared. They ran off.
Did you see which way they went?
Outside.
Oh.
As you stand there and look over, because Aileni, from you're sort of facing Dante, have you turned, or are you sort of talking while looking out still?
Initially, I turned to her because I was surprised, and then during this conversation, I've
turned back. That's fine. So both of you would see. It looks like everything seems to be pretty much now returned to normal. People have actually taken that table and moved the chandelier to one side. You can see Alara sort of like looking very puzzled because like it's a hook, right? Like, so it's not like it should have just unhooked itself, and it doesn't look like anything's snapped. But you see some of the patrons like helping her move it out through to the back, and Ichi, you would see them coming past you. And Ichi and Volu, obviously, Ichi, you know that Aileni's heading for a bit of rest, but you were going to stay here for a little bit. I think you would have noticed this little interaction.
Dante also tried to get my attention, like, about something, and like Ichi was very like, "What is happening?"
But yeah, I think you definitely would have picked up the interaction between Aileni and Dante on the stairs. Are you staying down here for the moment?
Dante will just actually turn to Aileni just for an additional thing, and just turn and say, it was two human men, cloaked in very basic gear.
Okay. Thank you. I'm going to turn and walk back down the stairs because I'm still in my human disguise.
Okay, as you come in, let me pause there. What are the other two doing? So obviously you would have seen them talking. Beecham, are you staying at the bar waiting still? What are you doing?
Yeah, Ichi kind of like,
and then I'll come back to Aileni.
As that whole interactive, like, Aileni walked past in human form, said something to Ichi. Ichi had that moment of being like, "Whoa, what's happening?" Saw you go to Dante, saw Dante's reaction, like interaction with me, has now watched that little bit, and is like putting two and two kind of more together now, of like seeing Dante's kind of like intensity towards Aileni. Ichi kind of takes more of a very, very much that Assassin's Creed blending in thing of like, picks up one of the tankards nearby, leans on the bar, never actually drinks from it, but just kind of like sits there, kind of bringing it up every now and then using that to like scan the room, particularly keeping an eye on that table that Dante shifted their eyes towards.
Okay, and Volu,
I'm not
obviously,
sure I would have seen it because I went to heal the guy
No,
who got
so
hit by
this-
the chandelier.
So this is it. And after you did the healing and things started to return to normal, again, people would just be like, "That was so cool! You can heal," and they're like, "Let's get them around." And they're almost, again, if you don't resist, they're gonna try and sweep you back into the party. I think you would be aware that Ichi is at the bar and Dante is on the stairs, but I don't think
I ever saw Aileni. I think I maybe
I don't think you'll have picked up Aileni at all. But you can still see Dante and Ichi still sort of stood where they've been before. But yeah,
has Kanda disappeared?
Canda's at the bar now, drinking.
Minesweeping.
Yeah, well, you didn't see them minesweeping, but they are now just drinking something.
Yeah. So I'll kind of get swept up for a moment and then kind of just survey and then be like, whoa, and then kind of hop and dance to be near Ichi. And then I'll just sit next to him and go, oh, yeah, being famous like is difficult, isn't it?
Seems like you're taking well to it.
Are you not enjoying this, Ichi?
I'm not really used to this kind of attention, and besides, I think there are other things for us to worry about right now. And I'll kind of like lean forwards, kind of like in my chair, kind of elbows to knees. It seems like that interaction over on that table where you ran over to help, something's going on. Dante's vision has yet to kind of look away from it, and they seem concerned about Aileni.
I say, as you're saying this is where Aileni would be sort of coming to the bottom of the stairs as Vola's just like, where?
Yeah. I'll turn around and go like, oh.
I will say, sorry. My eyes have they have shifted from the table because obviously they're not there anymore. They've kind of.
Yeah. Sorry.
He meant during.
Oh, during.
Like the whole time that this party's been going on, your eyes have been pretty fixed.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Yeah, so I'll look over and go, oh, I hadn't even realised Aileni had got here. I was I was distracted, but that doesn't matter.
At that point, Ichi will kind of be like, "Oh yeah, our other companion, our friend, they arrived a little while ago," and I'll like gesture as disguised Aileni is coming over and be like, "Oh, speaking of, we were just talking about you."
I'm gonna pause because I don't think she's coming to the table. But
I'm not coming to you guys.
Oh, okay, you're walking through.
I assume not, and I will come back to you, Aileni. The last thing,
then
give
Ichi would
me
be like,
an advantaged perception from the guided look. So Ichi is giving you a nod, but it is still down to your perception to see if you pick out the exact person they're talking about.
Right.
Oh.
Advantage
So
perception.
So Ichi sort of nods over towards the bottom of the stairs, and as you turn and take a look.
Uh, 21.
21. Okay, so with the 21, so as you're looking, you sort of like, and you're a little drunk, so so it's you sort of looking, and as this short, middle-aged human comes strolling down the stairs and past, the light from the candles on the wall are almost refracting at the edges of them, that give you the little indication that there is an illusion on that person. However, as I flip back to Aileni, with purpose, I assume moving back through
Towards the door.
I very much assume so. Are you going just straight there? Are you trying to stealth, or are you just going?
No, I'm going. I'm not rushing. I'm not being slow. I'm just heading out to the door. Yeah, I'm just weaving my way through people. Just heading for the door. I do have a dagger on my belt. I've not drawn it. But yeah, I'm sort of just wandering out to the front door and heading out onto the porch outside. I think there are steps up on to the thing we said before. So yeah, just heading out as if I want a breath of fresh air.
Okay, you step out onto the porch. The cool night air, so breezes through.
Anyone there?
Nobody immediately left or right.
Okay, if I listen.
Give me a perception. And also, I don't know if you're favored. Do you have a favored enemy? Is that how it still works?
I do. I have humanoids and fiends, I think.
So you can definitely apply that advantage here.
Excellent. All right then.
They are humanoid fiends, didn't you know?
So that I'm going to roll it again. The first one was a 19, so let's see. 21.
Interesting. That's exactly the two rolls that Volu did as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, 19 and 21.
With different bonuses. I always like when that happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, so with the 21, you listen for a second, and there's enough movement in the area that you pick out a few, but it's hard to tell exactly which. But then as you take a look, somebody's sort of walking up the street with a small candle, because the Rusty Bucket, while the porch is lit, it's a side street outside of that, so it's not like torches like the main streets are. So there's somebody just walking down the street with a small candle, and you get a quick glimmer of red liquid on the floor to the right.
How close is this red liquid, and how close is it to the person who's walking?
The person doesn't even notice it, just keeps walking.
Okay.
It's not like from them. So basically, it's almost like their candlelight gave you the quick refraction of the reflection.
Yeah.
And it looks like the blood is on the edge of the fence, almost as if someone went out and right and then leant on the fence.
Okay.
And then kept moving.
I'm going to I'm going to sort of stroll out into the middle of the street. And I might even go and nonchalantly look in Dana's shop window, right? And then sort of turn around again. And as if I'm just literally stretching my legs, I head back into the middle of the street. And now that I'm facing the fence, am I seeing anything different? Do I see any?
Give me a survival now that you've spotted the blood, as you sort of see the chance to track rather than spot.
Just still advantage? Because
It is still advantage
Yeah.
because it is your favourite enemy.
Oh,
Very nice.
Very, very nice.
So with a 25, you sort of stop. Your eyes flick to the first spot of blood that you spotted, and then almost just like a beeline, next drop, leading up and out towards the main road left of you.
Okay.
So if you imagine this is like a left and right for outside of the pub.
So how many other people are around right now? Is it really deserted? Because it was late afternoon, wasn't it? It wasn't nighttime. It was.
It's evening at the minute.
Yeah.
It's not like night. It's the
It's not
start
like
when
midnight.
when I was saying the cool night air, it's like the starting
Yeah.
where it's when it starts to cool down and you start to feel that the
Yeah.
sun the sun has gone.
So it's maybe twilight, but it's not like.
Yeah. As you're looking, so the guy that passed you the first time with the candle, they're just again continuing up. You see a mother and two children heading towards you. It's not deserted, but this is still a side street. I'd say as you listen and look up towards where it headed, that sounds busier as it is a main road.
How far is that?
Maybe 100 foot. And with the 25, you could easily follow.
I know.
I would say that with the 25, you can tell that it's one injured person.
Mm-hmm.
They are moving at a fairly steady pace. So it's like the pacing between the blood. They're not like it's not slow.
Yeah.
But also you notice fairly quickly, even just standing still and glancing, that there's like larger puddles where maybe they staggered or they stumbled or something else. But it looks like they are trying to move nonchalantly but quickly. And I'll say with the 25, you would also know that it looks like they're being assisted, like the way that the footprints are going, as it were. It looks like they're being assisted.
I'm gonna head back up onto Dana's porch, where I'm assuming it's a little bit more shady. And when no one's looking, I am going to. Oh, see, this doesn't help. Sorry, I wanted to do something, and I'm just checking if it really will help.
While you are, sorry, I turned my camera off. Is that going to have massive things?
Oh, hang on.
I clicked it by accident. Sorry.
No, we're okay.
Okay. While you are. Well, while you are looking.
Who gave Chris a whiteboard? I know the answer is Chris.
I know. This is dangerous.
While you're reading, I am going to ask the others what you are doing, as you would. So for the ones that know that Aileni, well, you all kind of know now, but you would all see this human walk out the front of the tavern.
Okay, I am going to, while I'm in the shade, I am going to cast Summon Beast.
Summon Beast.
And I am going to summon a land creature. So just so you guys know, this is I've not used this before, but basically you choose land, air, or sea, and it has the same stat blocks, and I can sort of say what it looks like because I'm not picking a specific stat block of a creature. It's the same stat block regardless.
A little bit in my head, I sort of feel like potentially your moths are like joined together like Transformer style and make whatever creature it is.
I like that. So I want to create a dog. And I'd say something the size of, I don't know, like a staffy or something like that. and I'm going to sort of stroke its head, and then again, staying in the middle of the street, just wander down in the direction that the blood drops are leading. This beast, if we did have initiative, it goes straight after me. And it
Give
does
me
have attacks, but it basically just it does what I tell it to do, effectively.
give me a wisdom saving throw, please.
Okay. That's not worrying at all. Wisdom save. 18.
Okay. Yeah. You start making your way down the center of the road. I am going to quickly flick back to the guys inside just to see you like it would have been. It's only been like 2 minutes. Like I'm not.
Yeah.
It's not long since you saw them walk out, but you did see them walk out the door. So I just want to gather what what you guys are doing.
Dante hasn't moved. His eyes are scanning around the room, mainly focused at like the coming and going from anyone in the door, but hasn't really done it. Well, hasn't moved, and is still with his usual happy face.
Ichi?
Ichi is going to, as like Aileni's walking kind of like out and been out for a little bit, Ichi is going to bring their hand up and with their last spell slot, drag a finger over the center of the iris on the breastplate and wave their hand over their eyes, and I'm casting See Invisibility on myself.
Okay.
Just so I can have a little bit more monitoring of the situation.
Yeah, you take a quick glance around. You don't currently see any invisible people or invisible orbs. The room currently looks clear. Unrolling.
Volley will see Aileni leave, but then look up to Dante and carry on his conversation with Ichi. Kind of, he'll look at Ichi and be like, before you met Dante, what was your mission?
I was still in training. So it was more about learning the skills of the order, learning tasks, locating threats and helping those who were being threatened, really. Done some simple things like one of my first tasks was helping my master with relocating a little hovel of pixies. They had fallen through a portal from the Feywild and ended up trapped here. They weren't causing any issue or anything. Where they had set up their home was in kind of in the midst of quite a big area of wolf territory, and some of the Fey aspects that came with them were driving the wolves into Fey frenzies. It was interesting. So it was more about helping them find a place that was safe for them, and about helping the environment around as well. They were lovely, although one of them did steal quite a significant amount of my left shoes. But
Pixies will do that.
Why is it always the left one? It took me 3 months to finally find them all, and even then, I'm fairly certain there's still one pair that's missing its left. Oh, I think there's one pair still missing its left. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. It's mainly just making sure the people who wish to be on this plane are here to be safe and help. So sometimes it revolves around dealing with threats of those who want to destroy it. But mainly, I think of it as helping people find that harmonious nature, figuring out how you can help your neighbor to make a better community kind of vibe, if that makes sense.
That makes sense now. When I first met you, I wouldn't have thought that at all. I just thought you were some pretentious knight that was casting spells and scaring people away.
I understand that. There's our first meeting wasn't me on my best form. I hope that as we work together more, I can help prove that that's not who I am. But I also understand that first impressions do linger.
It was very hard for me back then. I don't think I realized how hard it was being back here. It's so different from being, I was about to say being home, but I guess it's not my home really.
Well, that I feel like that depends on what you define as home. Just because you're from a place doesn't mean it's your home.
Kind of, I'll give a slight look over to Kanda at that point, and just let off a little smile. Things here are just, everything seems to happen so fast. I mean, we've literally just won a death race, and it feels like we don't even have time to celebrate or enjoy it. It feels like we're already thinking about the next thing. Dante, I thought he would have been a little bit jovial, so something like when he transformed. It looked like he was actually enjoying himself, and but now it just feels like he's on alert again. It's just, sometimes I wish we could just stay in this tavern and sit and eat bread and dance. But now Aileni's a human for some reason, and we can't leave Dante on his own. It's sometimes it makes me think, why am I here?
It feels really busy at the moment. It feels like every time we tick one thing off, five things have popped up.
How do you cope with it?
There's a big part of, you say dealing with it. It's less dealing with it and more figuring out how you can take each thing in stride. It doesn't get necessarily easier. You just find better ways of coping and figuring out what works for you. The tasks around are still the same. It's just you that gets better. So I suppose what works for me won't necessarily work for you. I like to write things down in my journal. It helps me keep my mind very centered. If at any point I forget something or lose track, I typically can look at the journal and it'll help me figure it out. But that's just something that works for me. Maybe you can figure out what works for you. Something to help process the large amounts of things that's going on, but also allow you time to stop and smell the roses. Because you can't just be working all the time. You need to figure out some ways to let off steam. And I know it's kind of hypocritical of me to say that because I'm very rarely not working, but what's the thing my master used to say to me? Do as I say, not as I do. I believe that's the adage. But if there's anything I can do to help, if it's, just to be here and chat, I'm more than happy to. quite a lovely conversation. It's been quite nice just being able to stop and chat. I feel like we really haven't since we met.
No, I don't know what it's been since we've been back here in the Rusty Bucket. It's the first place I stopped here in Cadfesi, and I just wanted to kind of take stock of what we've been through, because we've been through a lot, and I still don't even know you really. Part of me still thinks of you as that silly knight I met on the road, and
that's okay. Maybe I am just that silly knight that you met on the road, but hopefully that silly knight is also someone you can call friend one day.
hopefully. And then I'll give you a wry smile and it's like, no, I already kind of think of you as my friend.
Mm.
It was the sandwich, wasn't it?
Okay, and as that lovely little moment, I love that, wraps up, Aileni, you and your almost spectrally silvery dog that's next to you have made it down the 100-foot and are sort of walking out onto the main street. Now, again, it's twilight time, so it's not, people packed up and down the street, but there are carts occasionally passing by. There's people that are going home from the festivities that are still going on down in the Crucible. And you very easily notice that so like whereas you move into the center and it's sort of people are moving up and there's lots of still of the show stuff that was on for the fair, but a lot of that obviously is center. So there are people that are looking at those sorts of things are stood in the center, like not in the road but towards the center. But you look up the side away from the Crucible and deeper into the Forge Ward, almost, if I draw you that little arrow down this way, that would be east, toward almost not towards the mine specifically, but towards the cliffside on that side. And you're noticing the blood spatter on the wall again now, as if somebody's maybe occasionally using a shelf. As you look up, give me a perception, and again, you do have advantage.
Okay. Ooh, so 25.
Okay, so you're looking, and again, amongst the different people moving around, you sort of stop and scan for a second. And again, I always imagine it's because it's almost your knowledge of these creatures that gives you this extra insight. So you're almost looking at the different ways people are moving, and instead of looking for people, you're looking for injured people.
Yes.
And you start to scan for anybody limping, and you catch a good 200 foot down the way somebody arm over, both of them hooded, all dressed in black, and they're being carried, like not carried but assisted, where arms over the shoulder and arm around the back, and they are limping heavily as they're like moving forwards. As you're watching them and see them, they go forwards another 10 foot and turn into an off street. They turn northwards again.
Okay.
I'd say at the quick glance you got.
Have we've gone down into the Crucible at this point?
No, so you went away from the Crucible.
Because the Rusty Bucket's right on the north edge.
So you went up this way.
That's south.
I know, right? But this is originally. So you left the Rusty Bucket because the Rusty Bucket's here on this street. You went left from the Rusty Bucket to the end of the road. This is then the main road.
Yeah.
You then went east.
Yeah.
And then they're turning north again.
Turning back
so they're not,
again.
But you wouldn't go towards the Crucible this way. It's like a deeper area of the Forge Ward.
Okay. I'm not sure how this works. It says this beast obeys my commands.
Yeah.
So I want to tell it And actually, I didn't imagine it was spectral. Maybe it is, Liam.
No, it doesn't have
yeah.
to be, but I've always sort of imagined your moths as a little bit ethereal, spectrally looking.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it almost looks like a white dog, and maybe in the odd light it shimmers a little bit. But
Yeah, it's however you want it.
yeah, I want it to look like. I don't want other people noticing it and going, "Oh my God, what's that?" So I want it
No,
to sort of
no.
blend in. But I want to tell it to follow those people.
Mhm.
And then I want to follow the dog.
Okay, so you're gonna let it get a little bit ahead, and
So I'm
then
gonna
you're
give it
gonna.
yeah. I mean, if they're already 200
How
feet,
much do you
that's
want
not
to? How
too
much do
bad.
you want to give it?
I want
So
to
they
be.
would. What's their? What's the? What is the stats like? The mental stats like in with the charisma for them for the.
So they've got an int of 4, whiz 14, cha 5.
Okay. So yeah,
But
they
like,
can definitely.
yeah,
It
but
would be more
it
of a
says
track
it
command.
obeys
It would
your
be. It would.
verbal
Yeah,
commands.
and I think it definitely can follow very easily. How far are you gonna let it go ahead?
I'd say only about 50, 60 feet. I sort of want it to wander ahead of me so that if they did stop or, lie in ambush or whatever, that it would reach them before I do.
Mhm.
And then I would turn the way. I would head towards where they turned.
You move up the street. Are you? You're still disguised, aren't you?
Yeah, that lasts for an hour.
Okay, so people are passing by. They seem pretty, waving and saying hi and stuff. Whether you respond or not, it's almost that passing politeness. So it's not.
Yeah,
They don't really
I
take
would nod
notice of.
and and say good evening if people spoke
Mhm.
to me, and yeah.
And as you're moving through, you would notice the dog moves up ahead and does take that turn. You would, I think they probably would hold for a second in terms of they'd like turn, stop, and then continue forwards, almost making sure that you saw, if that makes sense, because they know they would sort of know that you're following them.
Yes.
So the dog this is
The
right.
dog.
So that
Yeah,
it's
not them. Yeah.
the dog turned, halted for a second, and then went forwards.
Yes.
And as you get up to the corner, you make your way around, and the dog's now obviously 60-foot-ish ahead,
Yeah.
and there's no sign of them down
Okay.
that street. But the dog starts to move slower. Like they're not they were sort of like trotting forwards, and then they
Yeah.
sort of slow for a second, and then they start to like steadily pace forwards. As you're following and getting closer, you also start to pick up the small murmur of voices.
Okay. I would
And
definitely now start sneaking.
it sounds like it's coming not from the next turn off is like another street.
Yeah.
The one after that is like a alley between the houses. And
Okay.
it sounds like it's coming from there rather like for a second it could have been someone in one of the gardens, if that makes sense, and then you sort of like, no, okay, definitely roll me your stealth as you are getting closer. Do you want to do one for the dog as well?
Yeah, can do. So first one's mine. That's a 12. And then for the dog, what's he got? He's just done a straight dex, so we'll do. So he rolls a 13. So we're both being as sneaky as possible.
Okay, so as you're getting closer, you get close to the point that the dog actually stops. So the dog doesn't move past the lip of the alleyway.
That's good. I wasn't sure how to tell him not to go round. Yeah.
And they stop and they look to you and are like, again, sort of like looking as you're getting closer and closer.
And I would sort of lean down and sort of, like as if to get it to come back to me.
As you're doing that, so you're hearing the voices, and as you're getting closer, it's like you hear like, oh, fuck, man, it really fucking hurts. And like, shush, I'm dealing with it. Like, do you think was it even fucking worth it? Like, what the fuck even? Is it them? The sort of back and forth in definitely two people. What immediately strikes you is yicks and accents.
Okay.
As the other one goes, I don't fucking know, man. I didn't. The first one that showed up definitely wasn't. I thought I saw them for a second, but and as they're talking, you so and you obviously accidentally sort of like let the tut out,
Yeah.
and they and it goes very quiet.
If I hear them do shh, then I am just gonna say, come on, Biscuit, where have you been? Come on, out of there. And then actually get the dog and just turn and walk, but I'm still keeping my perception to see if they come out the alley, but almost as if I've just followed the dog in because it's wandered off and I'm now.
Okay. Are you doing it in a way that you might get a glimpse down the alley, or are you
No.
doing it?
No,
Okay.
I'm not risking that.
That's fine. I just wanted to know what to describe to you. That's okay.
Yeah, no, I'm literally like, come on, stop messing about. We've got to go home.
Okay, so as you say, come on now, Biscuit, and there's that sudden break of silence into noise, there is a shift of like almost something larger got moved. You think like maybe they were trying to hide behind something and didn't do a great job at it. You heard the like of something shifting to let them hide.
Okay.
Almost that you're thinking maybe you startled them with the initial noise.
Yeah.
And then it all stays very quiet as you take the dog and begin to walk away. Nobody comes and peeks. Nobody looks, and you would reach the turning before any sort of movement has happened in the alley.
Okay. I would then. I take it there's no sort of like external way up onto the roofs of these buildings or anything like that.
Give me a quick perception. This one's not advantage, obviously.
Yeah. 14.
Okay, you're not seeing any legitimate way up. You are seeing some ways you could maybe get up. There's a ledge and a balcony and there are some of those ways, but there's no like fire escape that you can see.
I'm tapped. That's the thing. Okay. I am just going to walk back to the pub with the dog.
Give me another wisdom save as you start to step away.
I'm not liking this, Liam. Wisdom saves. 14.
There's like a moment where that flash of feeling that you get sometimes from the moths, usually when there's danger, but you're fully aware there's no danger. You're in control. You're about to step out onto a main street around people, all that sort of stuff. It almost screams like, no, kill, fight, 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 fight. It's almost trying to egg you up into fight or flight mode before you can't. You almost have to shake it off for a second.
I'm getting that from the moths.
They want to fight. They want to kill. And you get that feeling very intensely for a second before you. And even for a second, you would notice the dog is like, when a dog is fixed on like that, and you see the owner like walk past and go, come on, and it doesn't for a second, and then you calm yourself and go, come on, and it turns and comes with, and it will then walk with you.
Okay.
And you are able to, I assume, make your way back if that is the way you want to go.
I would go all the way back. Do I know if dogs are allowed in the pub?
I mean, it's not been mentioned otherwise.
I would just walk in with the dog and head up the stairs.
Okay, I'll say moving in and through quick enough that
I'm
nobody
gonna go
really
straight
takes
in and up the
notice.
stairs. Yeah.
I'd say that the guys obviously Dante will definitely see it. I'll say boys at the table, give me a perception as you are, in an actual, engaging conversation with each other.
Oh yeah. 25.
7.
I think it makes a bit of sense. Rolling your backs to the door, you're like sat facing Ichi in the bar and stuff. And you don't really notice as you guys are talking. I'd say each of your eyes just sort of flick over, and you would see. I would say with that high of a roll, you would see the human return, and also trailing at their feet, trying to hide and stay a bit stealthy, is a white dog. That's just right at the feet. Obviously, as they get to the stairs, Dante, you can't miss the fact there is now a dog coming up the stairs. At the feet of the human, you think again, and it is a bit of a thing. This is the human that you last saw and knew was Aileni, but also it can be hard sometimes if a good chunk of time has passed. This could just be the actual human she copied, maybe.
I would,
But
if he's still on the stairs when I come back in, I would, on my way past him and without looking at him at all, I would just say, "Can I have a word?" And then I'd walk past him and up the stairs and head to the room.
We'll give Ichi a very quick glance, whether or not it's not a knowing glance or anything, but it's more of a check kind of thing. If he sees, that's cool. If not, Dante is gonna just go off and go with the strange human and a white dog.
yeah.
He just sees and just kind of.
Average Friday night for Dante.
I've gone to see a woman about a dog.
Yeah, legitimately.
Ichi
I'd say
kinda, like,
Ichi,
sees
you
you look
definitely
over
would
and-
see it.
Yeah, he just kind of looks over and kind of gives a little salute just to acknowledge that I've seen you.
There is the ever so slightly of a nod, as much as Dante would do, and then would just walk back.
You will be able to head on up, and to the room.
Okay. Aileni would be sat cross-legged on one of the beds when you come in, and I'd sort of gesture for you to either sit on a chair or the other bed or whatever's available in the room.
Dante will go and sit. He'll pull up a chair, and he will sit relatively close, but respectful difference, but close enough.
And
So
the dog is actually curled up in the corner, but awake and watching, sort of.
Can I tell that that's not a real dog or not? My perception is absolute cack. No.
No. To an untrained eye, not. You don't have any advantages or anything when looking.
Oh, I do
at...
against Faye.
Yes, then okay. So only because he has the advantage versus Faye.
Yeah.
It looks entirely normal, except for the slight tip of the ears. You notice there's that little flick, and there's the slightly sharper canines, and there's little tiny features that I think Dante would pick out to know that is at least Faye. Whether he knows it's a summon or not. How long does that last, by the way?
An hour. It's concentration though, I think.
Okay, so it's going to be a little, maybe 10-15 more minutes. It'll be around.
Yeah,
That's concentration. What about disguise self?
My
No.
disguise self isn't. No. I don't know if it's different for people, but yeah, I'm using my Furbolg magic to do that. So that also lasts an hour, so that's probably about to drop.
So Dante pulls up a chair, and sits on it. Kind of like backwards, sideways to the door. Sword. He pulls out his sword and then kind of just leans it against the chair.
Can you describe the men that you saw? I know you said that they had cloaks on, but did you see any kind of features at all?
Liam, am I allowed to make any of this up, or did you actually? I don't think you gave me anything.
You didn't see anything other than the human features. I'd say that you can give Aileni an apt description of what you saw.
Yeah. So
all I saw was two humans, very covered, plain coats.
You did notice
cloaks.
You did notice like leather armor. It was like socks.
Plain cloaks, leather armor. They sat there with a purpose. Did you find them?
I did. One of them's injured.
I hope so.
They had walked out of here down to the main road and then gone into a back alley. I followed as close as I could with the help of my friend. But I mean, after today, Dante, I'm tapped. I didn't want to get into anything, especially on my own. So they said, what I overheard was that one of them's definitely hurt. The other one was trying to heal him somehow. And they said, do you think this was even worth it? Do you think it was them? And that they caught a glimpse for a minute. I'm assuming they're talking about me.
They were definitely more interested in you.
I will say, Dante, you'd remember that when the other Furbolg approached Volu.
I know I was going to go through this.
Sorry, I just don't know who.
Liam, fuck off. They first took a keen eye to us when we first arrived at the bar. Then they stopped and seemed more interested in waiting. They were looking for something. There was another Furbolg that entered before you did. At that point, one of them did stand to get a good look, and then carried on talking when I believe they realized it wasn't who they were looking for. It was only when you turned up that was when their interest peaked, but then they got distracted.
I need to tell you some things because I think they might be looking for me, and I think that I might be in danger. I'm not sure because I didn't see them properly.
There's because your insight's good as well, isn't it?
Mm.
There's a moment where Dante almost actually shows something that you probably haven't seen much, and there was an immediate reaction to almost kind of like lean in and defend, like defense kind of like thing as he comes in. However, in that same moment, he still pauses and keeps his kind of stoic kind of feel, trying to like not show any kind of notice of it. You may say.
The other thing I noticed is that they had Yixan accents. I am from there, or from around there. I was married. I was married to a very dangerous man, and I didn't know how dangerous he was. And then when I did find out, I paid for that. These, I'm going to gesture to the dog, my little friends. They brought me back. I actually think I was either very close to death or already dead, and they brought me back. And I've sort of been on the run and trying to find a way to repay him for that. But he is powerful and he's rich. And he didn't do the dirty work himself because he never did. I mean, I walked away with these scars and my little fey friends. He got to keep all the money and the land and the power and our child.
The moment you mentioned the child, there's an unmistakable, like, he breaks character and immediately stares right up at you, and there's a definite feeling of connection to that. You're not necessarily sure why, but in his eyes there's definitely a knowing feeling with that.
So I think maybe I'd relaxed too much. I've been living in a very paranoid way for a long time, and then meeting Volu, and then meeting you guys, and entering the Doom Hackra. I swear it was only when we got into the parade that I suddenly realised how dangerous that was for people to see me and recognise me. That's why I kept my hood up the whole time. And then, so if these people are here, if they work for my husband, I don't know what that means, because I didn't think he knew I was still alive.
Did you say that they couldn't tell if it was you?
Yeah, they said they thought they caught a glimpse for a second, and obviously your your distraction allowed me to then change. Probably as I'm talking, I would be changing back into Furbolg Aileni at this point. Like
definitely. And I think you would see the slowly the dog in the corner sort of almost starts to unfold as from absolutely disguised as a real dog, just one of the moths like foot and like very almost weakly as the time of the spells run out flies back to Aileni, and you would see them sort of crawl in through the armor cracks. And
the other thing that worries me about this is the reaction that my moths had to those people. For a second, they wanted me to kill those men. And believe me, if they're who I think they are, that's what I'll be doing. But as tired as I am, and with very little magical ability left today, I didn't want to take the risk.
Not taking the risk may have been the smart choice.
Possibly.
Not necessarily the choice one would want.
What I do think is that perhaps I need to not be here. If they've tracked me to here, I have one more spell left.
Do you mean tonight, or do you mean the city? We've still got the other hotel, bar, pub, inn.
We do. I can disguise myself enough tonight to get to somewhere safe, somewhere else. But we were known at the other place as well, the Bloody Banner. We told everybody that the Chaotic Embers were there. I can stay here tonight, but I thought that you should know, and the others obviously once they've stopped, once they've finished having fun. I'm really sorry, Dante. I didn't want this to have an effect on what we're doing here.
It may come as no surprise to you, but I can understand the feeling of a individual with power to take and hurt, and that feeling of anger and hatred that comes with it. If you want to stand against this man and his people, my blade will be there.
Thank you.
And from a one fortunate point of view, you still get the choice of what happens next.
I don't want to run and hide forever. But if they came at us tonight,
I will stand watch.
I can set up alarms as well, but I think then tomorrow we need to move, or I need to move.
Agreed.
I don't want to go back down into the pub in my own self, if that's...
You will not. A question I have, though. How long ago did this happen?
It's been nearly 2 years. It's not long.
And if I were to ask, how old is your child?
She's just turned 8. It was her birthday last week.
Dante physically closes, his eyes close, and for a moment you can almost think that there could be a tears coming. If you so wish, we can get her back.
That's what I need the money for. That's why I came over here, started doing jobs, tried to make myself strong again and learn new skills. The prize money from the Duma Hakra will help a lot. I wanted to get myself into a good position so that when I do decide to go back, I have the resources and the skills that I need. And I
We have
can't wait too long or she'll forget who I am.
that will not happen. A child will never forget their parents. I will do everything I can, this I swear, for you to be reunited with your daughter.
Thank you, Dante. I would put my hand out actually, and I think it's probably the first time I've shown any kind of trust, maybe, with Dante. I would put my hand out to shake your hand.
Dante will shake her hand as well. It'll only be a brief thing. Wouldn't want to burn her.
I'll say as that handshake happens, I'll flip quickly back over to the others. What have you been doing in the meantime? Because there won't have been the immediate, but there will be eventually, as you're sort of having been doing this, notice the length of time. And to be fair, it's not that things are dying down, but people hit went very hard at the point you guys entered. So people are still trying, but also there's lots of falling and slurring and drinks getting spilled and you would notice Kanda has left, and they would have given you a quick, almost nod as they passed the table, but then just left, and you know that they will obviously meet you later as specified. What have you been doing, or have you gone back to joining the party? Have you sort of taken a seat at the side? I'll start with Volu this time.
I'd like to say we carry on the conversation a little bit, but then it would kind of Volu would try and make it a little bit more festive. So he would start asking for ale. He'd start saying, "Let's play a game." I'll try and do some Rochambeau. Maybe occasionally, if Ichi goes for paper, scissors, he'll cast Gust and turn it into paper and be like, "Ha ha ha, you lose!" And then making Ichi drink. But then, as we've had one or two, I'll be like, "Oh, let's get another drink, Ichi."
Right, you muted, but sorry.
There's like at the start, there's very much like kind of Ichi nervously kind of like going along with the games and everything, but then kind of like sees a little bit of that like genuine joy in Volu's face of just taking a moment and having a good time, that Ichi does kind of like relax into it, and so like, yeah, same again, more ale, or do you want something else?
Oh, I haven't thought about something other than ale. And then I'd shout Alara over and go, "What would you recommend for two fine-looking gentlemen?"
Ichi turns around confused.
Yeah. Oh well, why don't I make you a special cocktail? Just it's not got a name yet, but maybe it deserves a name. So something either after the chaotic embers or even after Clovis, maybe. As they start mixing and pouring some spirits.
Oh, maybe. Oh, maybe we should call it a Ichi because it looks like a lot of herbs and plants are going into that cocktail.
It's very hibiscus. It's a gin based one.
Yeah.
I'm really disappointed that Liam just didn't say here's absinthe.
Yes, she's not trying to kill them. But yeah, so I just like the Ichi.
One each.
Ichi kind of like gets a little bit shy and nervous about something being named after them. Why you you like plants, you like your leaves and such, so why don't we call it a change of season? Because then it's a little bit of both of us.
So a change of season.
Okay, you are clink your glasses and are able to have more drinks, and I'd say the party, you know, for at least you two picks up for a little while. I would say after a moment, you probably would notice Ichi almost, and to be fair, Vol, you'd be like, Dante's actually gone, and you didn't notice him leave in the first place. But all of a sudden, you turn around almost to, yeah, he's gonna be still there. Oh yeah, Dante's gone.
We've lost Dante again.
This is probably like the most alcohol Ichi's ever had in like one go, and bearing in mind we went from probably like a dark ale to now like spirits. Ichi turns around and they're like, fuck.
One job.
I'm bad at this, buddy. Oh no.
You've got this. You go get him and give him a pat on the back.
Okay.
Ichi stumbles off the bar stool.
Okay, and as Ichi stumbles towards the stairs in search of the lost Dante, you vaguely remember him going up to the upstairs with a white dog. You're not sure why. And that is where we will end part 1 of this episode. Thank you very much for watching. As always, thank you very much for playing. If you're enjoying the adventure so far, please hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell so you know when the videos are coming out. And as always, roll well. Bye. This is the end of part 1. Part 2 airs Sunday 7 PM GMT, or will be linked in the top right of your screen now. Thank you for watching, and roll well.